Welcome back to my channel, everybody. How are you doing? Long time no see. I'm doing good. Let me first ask you a question. Have you ever experienced a situation like this? For example, you already know quite some vocabulary in your target language, but you still can't really form a sentence, or you always become way too nervous and forgot what to say whenever you are going to talk with others, even though you have already been learning this language for quite some time, or you are not a fan of studying the grammar or memorizing the vocabulary just like me and wonder what to do with it, or you have heard about the importance of creating your own sentences but have no idea how and what sentences to create. No problem, Pearly got you, because I've been in all these situations before. So by the end of this video, you will have an idea on how to solve these problems. Creating your own sentences, for me, it's a very powerful and magical practice, because I find that it not only helped me to improve my speaking skill, but also sort of allow me to reach a pretty good level in my target language without having to study the grammar and the vocabulary. So you might be wondering, so how exactly and why exactly creating your own sentences could be this helpful? So first of all, it will allow you to create sentences that actually matter to you. I know I've already mentioned about this several times in my previous videos, but this is really this important. So by doing this, you have more opportunity to practice them, and you will also be more willing to learn them, because now at least you know when can you use these sentences. Not like learning a sentence, for example, my uncle has a beard and he holds an expensive bag. I mean, granted, maybe you talk about your uncle often, but for me, I really talk about him and he doesn't even have a beard. So I think you get what I mean. Language is a skill that without constant practice, you will for sure forget about it. So it will be great to build sentences that you will use often so that you won't forget about it. Secondly, in the process of creating your own sentences, it would also provide you opportunity to learn the grammar and memorizing the vocabulary naturally, so you don't have to force yourself to do it. For example, when you are creating your own sentences, you will for sure need to look up new words constantly. And by keep on creating your own sentences and to apply those words when you talk to others, etc., you will just naturally remember them. And it also works the same with grammar. For example, one of the very useful phrases in Spanish for me is estoy aprendiendo español, or aprendiendo español ahora. And without learning the conjugation of the verb aprender, I already know that when I want to say learning, I use the word aprendiendo instead of other conjugated forms of the verb aprender. Heads up, I still look up grammar rules from time to time when I want to know the logic behind it, but I sort of do it inversely. Instead of learning the grammar first and build the sentences based on it, I personally find it more fun to create sentences first and learn the grammar when needed. Lastly, by creating your own sentences, it will also help you to improve your confidence when it comes to speaking with others, because now you at least have some phrases in your pocket that you know you can use. So you might be wondering, but Pearly, how can I create my own sentences without really knowing the grammar and the vocabulary? What I do is I use the combination of Google Translate, Reversal, and ChatGPT for creating my own sentences and for proofreading them. And let me now show you how I do this using Spanish as an example. So I'll first open Google Translate and type in what I want to write in English. And of course, you can use your mother tongue or like any other languages you want. So now I got the Spanish version of it. And then I will first listen to how Google pronounces it to make sure my pronunciation is correct.
Hola, mi nombre es Pearly. Soy de Taiwán. Fui a la Universidad del Japón, en Tokio. Me gusta mucho Japón porque es un país muy limpio, seguro y culturalmente rico. También creo que el japonés es un idioma hermoso.
And as Fui a la universidad. I went to university. I'm pretty unfamiliar with this sentence, so I just want to double check it on reversal as well, just to see if there's like better translations for I went to university and whether fui a la universidad is like commonly used, and just to check out some example sentences. Okay, let's see. I went to university. Fui a la universidad. Universidad. Okay, looks like a pretty common phrase, and there are like example sentences as well. Okay, nice. And then in the end, I'll just copy paste the Spanish translation and to paste it on ChatGPT, and to see if ChatGPT have any suggestion. Oh, so ChatGPT just told me that there's only like one minor correction. Nice. So that's why I love to use like different platforms, because they will always give me different suggestions. That's basically my process. As you can see through this, like creating your own sentences process, you will just naturally learn new words and grammar. So after you listen to how Google pronounce the sentences you create, you might still feel not so confident with your pronunciation and would love to have some feedback. And also you might want someone to interact with. In this case, how can we forget our powerful AI friend? I want to share with you a super cool app, an app called Elsa Speak. So Elsa Speak is an AI-powered app supported by Google that help us to better our pronunciation, listening, and conversational skills. Let me show you how cool it is. When you first started using Elsa Speak, you can first do a free assessment test, and this assessment test will not only show you your level, the score of your pronunciation, intonation, and fluency, but also create a personalized learning journey just for you. Let's now try our pronunciation practice.
Become famous.
Become famous. Ooh, as you can see, our AI friend just gave me the feedback, and I can click the red part and it will explain to me in detail how I can improve my pronunciation.
Become.
Okay, let me try again. Become famous. Ooh, I got a much better score. I find it super convenient because with Elsa Speak, I can understand precisely which part of the pronunciation do I need to fix. So after practice several speaking skills, we can now move on to have a real-life conversation with AI. This is my favorite part of Elsa Speak, as it's just so convenient and so powerful. Let me show you now. So in the Elsa AI, you can choose either a role play or even customize the scenario you want. And let's try this out today, describing your morning routine.
It would be great to know more about your morning routine. What time do you wake up?
I wake up at around 4 o'clock in the morning, and then I go for a run.
Wow, that's early. How far do you usually run?
100 kilometers.
That's really impressive. Do you have any tips for staying motivated
So,
during such a long
just
run?
like this. What I find super cool is in the end of the conversation, you will receive a detailed feedback about your pronunciation, vocabulary, and grammar. I really like how Elsa AI has made it possible for us to practice our speaking skill just by ourselves. So Elsa Speak currently offers 2 packages. For basic learner, you could consider Elsa Pro, and for advanced learner, you could consider Elsa Premium. So check out the link in the description box below for a special discount. So now you know how to create your sentences and also how to better your pronunciation. You may wonder, but Pearly, I have zero idea what sentences to write. No problem, Pearly got you. I'll share with you some ideas about what you can write. First of all, I would really recommend to write about yourself introduction, because the chance of using it is very high. For example, when you're going to meet up with new people, or whenever you are going to talk about things related to yourself, having some sentences about yourself in your pocket is just going to be so handy. Also, a very useful sentence to learn in your target language is what about you? Because you still don't have the ability to talk too much in your target language, it's always a great idea to hand the microphone to the person in front of you and let others talk about themselves. Smart, right? Secondly, another topic I find very practical to write down is your language learning journey. Imagine this, if you're talking in a foreign language with other people, it's pretty natural for people to be curious about your language learning journey. For example, how long have you been learning this language? Where and how do you learn it? Do you speak any other languages? So on and so forth. So personally, I find it very useful and practical to have these sentences in my pocket. So when other people ask about it, at least I have something to say. Thirdly, I would also suggest to learn some filler words in your target language. Filler words are mostly used in conversation when you want to show others that you are engaged in it, or you simply want to buy some time when you are coming up with the next sentence to say. In English, for example, well, actually, basically, fine, yeah, right, something like that. In Japanese, for example, なんか、そうですね。なるほど。確かに。Something like that. In Spanish, for example, bueno, pues, vale, claro, mola. Something like that. In French, for example, oui, ouais, c'est ça. En fait, tu vois, genre, bon ben, bref, du coup, alors, enfin, donc, something like that. In Egyptian Arabic, for example, like يعني, اشتا, أكيد, بالضبط, طبعا, ماشي. Something like that. In Chinese, something like 真的哦这样对啊那个那什么的 something like that. So when we still couldn't talk too much in our target language, most of the time in a conversation we could only listen while others are talking. So I just find these filler words extremely useful because it will make you look like and sound like you're already speaking without actually speaking. You know what I mean? Lastly, you can also write a journal. It doesn't have to be a daily journal. You can make it like once a week or like once every 3 days. And no matter what you write down in your journal, whether it's about your days or your moods or your thoughts, they're all gonna be useful phrases specifically for you because they are what you go through in your life right now. And the journal also doesn't have to be long. 1 or 2 sentences also count as well. And another thing that I will do from time to time is to imagine what I would likely talk about in an upcoming conversation with someone. So for example, let's say I'm going to do a Japanese language exchange next week with someone. So I'm expecting that I would probably talk about, why I started learning Japanese, how long have I been learning Japanese, and why I love traveling in Japan, and what Japanese foods or cities are my favorite, so on and so forth. So I'll prepare these sentences in advance if I have time and I'm not feeling lazy that day. So with all these sentences that you create for yourself, you can at least minimize the number of times where you have to experience the awkward silence when talking with others. So that's the end of today's video. I hope you find it helpful and I'll see you again in the next episode. Bye bye!